Anyone who takes fantasy football seriously has heard of Bill, or his actual name, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, the stud out of Arizona, who could be the next big running back in Washington. So how did he get here? Jacory, or Bill, was born in Montgomery, Alabama on April 12, 2001. He grew up in low-income, impoverished places, but even through it all, put his head down and was just playing sports instead of getting caught up in the noise. He got the nickname Bill after the cartoon Little Bill because he had a bald head and then a low haircut as a kid. Bill went on to play at the local Sidney Lanier High School. Like you'd expect with any NFL player, Bill was a stud in high school as a two-time All-Metro running back and was named second-team All-State, not the insurance company, with over 2,300 all-purpose yards, 1,300 of which was rushing, and led his team to the playoffs as all-around talent, whether it was returning punts, receiving passes, or running the ball. But even with a pretty stellar high school performance, Bill did not get a single star following his senior season and had only 2 offers from FCS schools Alcorn and Alabama State, and he eventually committed to the latter as he joined the Alabama State Hornets. As Bill would say, Alcorn ended up taking another running back. I ended up staying home, just kept my head down and kept working for whatever came, showing his hunger that even when the odds were stacked against him out of high school, Bill was able to roll the punches and got used to it and carried that passion into college, where it was one hell of a journey for the stud. Jacory had 4, but really 2 because of COVID and a redshirt year, half-decent seasons with the Hornets, and in 2022, in his 4th year on the roster, Bill rushed for over 500 yards on 120 carries, along with 4 touchdowns, which was not too shabby a stat line and good enough to get him some attention, so he decided to hop into the NCAA transfer portal in hopes of making the jump to the FBS level with his remaining eligibility. His coaches at Alabama State were very complimentary of Bill, saying they're going to change his name for a long time. And that kid's got great upside. He's going to play some good football. But that upside didn't kick in to get Bill any big-time FBS offers, although he did get one from the New Mexico Lobos. So he packed his bags and traveled across the country to play the following year. That season, Jacory put on a show with nearly 1,200 yards rushing on less than 200 carries, with a pretty damn incredible 17 touchdowns. It was one hell of a year with some great performances intermixed, like his 204 and 2 touchdown day against Fresno State or 223 against Utah State in the regular season finale. Quite a year, and as you could guess, it earned him some honors, like being second-team All-Mountain West, which makes you wonder, who the hell was on the first team?
An unreal talent, and there he goes. JT into the clear blue!
Okay, that makes sense. But no matter the case, Bill put on one hell of a performance, with more yards in that one season than his 4 years at Alabama State, and with an over 6 yard per carry average that led him to hop right back into the portal and go to Arizona. However, he later flipped it to Ole Miss before then again joining Arizona, which is a bit wild, but it only got more complicated. At Arizona, Bill was doing his thing, consistently breaking 50 to 60 yard rushes in practice against the first team defense. But all that hype died down quick as some of the stuff from his past came back to bite him in the rear end. Due to eligibility issues stemming from his jersey number being used by another player when he redshirted as a freshman at Alabama State, he was only able to appear in one game with the Wildcats, where he rushed for 106 yards and a touchdown. It obviously was not the year he wanted, but my man had been in college since 2019, so it was time for the NFL draft. But just before it, at the East-West Shrine Bowl, Bill was named as offensive MVP with nearly 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, helping him even the tiniest bit with the draft stock, even after all the hubbub of the redshirt freshman year, only allowing him to play in one game the season before. Bill was selected by Washington in the 7th round at 245th overall, one of the very last picks, and so going into his first year, even after some half-decent showings in college, expectations were extremely low. I mean, most 7th round picks don't even make the team, so to get on the 53 was not a guarantee for Bill, but my man doesn't mess around, so you know he made the roster. Going into his rookie season, as I'm sure many of you have been made aware of Bill's potential, even coming out as a 7th round pick on an offense where he was like 3rd on the depth chart. And even with all that in mind, he was still able to make moves throughout the preseason, with nearly 100 yards rushing and a 27-yard rushing touchdown against the Bengals. Honestly, I think the allure around Bill was bigger than any 7th round player I've seen in quite some time, outside of someone like Brock Purdy, and especially for a running back who only played one game the season before. And it turns out that allure was right.
Like that. Gets it again. To the edge. Croskey-Merritt is in. Touchdown, Washington.
On only 10 carries in the opener against New York, Bill had over 80 yards rushing and a touchdown, which is absolutely insane production for someone who only played one game for the Wildcats and was pretty dang low on the depth chart. In fact, he was the only running back drafted after 200 to have over 75 yards and a touchdown in their debut performance, which earned him Offensive Rookie of the Week honors. Funny enough, after he scored, he dropped the ball, and as he said, quote unquote, "I forgot the ball again." He said in the post-game press conference, "I told myself when I score, I'm going to make sure I keep my football. I think the excitement just takes over me and I just end up dropping it. But thankfully, stud wide receiver Terry McLaurin ended up finding the ball and giving it to me. As he told him, have a good time instead of focusing on getting it. Terry's a great dude and very complimentary of Bill, saying, it's just unbelievable to see the way he's come in and just put his head down and worked. I think he's earned the respect of the O-line and our entire team, and he runs really hard. He can run it in between the tackles, he can bounce it outside, and he gets a lot of yards after contact. You saw us burst today, and it definitely put us in a position to ice the game. As you probably heard or seen in some form or fashion, the hype throughout camp about his ability has been high, especially for someone drafted so low. But even then, you wouldn't guess that he outperformed both Eckler and McNichols and have as many carries as both of them combined in the very first game of the season. Bill had more yards rushing than Deebo Samuel had receiving, who was a leading receiver by over 40 yards. That kind of production is pretty outstanding. So it's a shock that he only got 4 carries the week following against Green Bay, but I have a feeling that the production will change after this. Now that it's just Bill and McNichols fighting for running back 1 numbers, I think the Alabama State product will have a lot of opportunities to prove how real the hype is, especially if Jaden Daniels continues to have a bit of a slower start to the season. But hey, you never know what could happen. And I think it's been true for Bill's entire journey, whether it's coming from low-income housing to 4 years in FCS, then his time in New Mexico, and the blip in Arizona. It's been one hell of a ride, and I can't wait to see what Bill does next. As Bill would say, I just go out there and do me. It's football at the end of the day. I just go out there and have fun.
Croskey-Merritt outside, first down, maybe a lot more.
Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe and like if you like content like this, and if not, then don't. But anyways, let me know what you want to see next, and God bless.